everybody, welcome back to Day-Today Chess. This is Sabina introducing some new famous and top chess players in the world that had a great impact in today's chess. The first one, the fourth world chess champion, Alexander Alekhine or Alexander Alekhine, depending on how you pronounce it, and the second, Nimzowitsch Aaron. Both of them top chess players, one of them world champion, the other one the one who has conceptualized many chess ideas, including the meaning of a blockade, for example, or he has written a book called My System, Alekhine-Nimzowitsch, and in that book he talks about the hypermodern chess. So he's going out from the classical chess, where we are very interested on the center, the occupying of the center, and then the battle that's taking place across the center. And he's going a step forward in saying and coming up with the idea that sometimes you can just develop your pieces around the center and then later break through your opponent's center. So, you know, the ideas like, for example, Pirk or maybe Nimzowitsch, his own opening, right? That, you know, at d4, this one, d4, knight f6, c4, e6. He invented it, so he doesn't put a pawn in the center at the beginning, but then breaks the center with c5 or d5. So he enters maybe queen's gambit, or maybe he just plays c5. This is his own opening, so he came up with these ideas, very important, Aaron Nimzowitsch, in today's chess. And what can I say? Alexander Alekhine, fourth world chess champion from 1927 till 1935. He lost the title for 2 years to Max Euwe and then got it back in 1937. And he passed away in 1946, still being a world champion. Alexander Alekhine is known for his dynamic and attacking style. So, okay. For today, I've chosen a game that doesn't really show very much of Alexander Alekhine's attacking style, but you will see some of the important blockade ideas as well as the importance of space. Good. With that said, let us go through the game and hopefully you enjoy it. So we have the Winawer line with bishop e4, e5 in the French. c5, and here the main line for white is a3. Nowadays this is the most played one, and if bishop takes c3, pawn takes. Black gives away the bishop, their good bishop, if we think about it, but to double white's pawns, and this c3 pawn is going to be a target for black. One of the main lines is queen a5 here, another one is knight e7, but eventually c3 is going to be a target for black. In this game, however, Alexander Alekhine thought of finishing his development first. So he played bishop d2, and with the idea of, as my arrows point out already, knight b5, d6. Because now that the bishop is out and c5 has been played, white gets this idea of bringing the knight to d6, stopping black from castling. But in the same time, with the bishop in d2, think about it, when you play knight b5, you will force the trade of this bishop. So this is another interesting idea. It is still played nowadays, but not as often. Knight e7 was black's response. Of course, wants to meet knight b5 with castle. Knight b5, first capture in d2, queen takes d2, now castle. And now, as my color here, green, shows up, white wants to maintain this chain of pawns. It's the French. In the French, white, especially the advanced variation, this is not the advanced variation, but in pretty much any French that at some point you play e5, you want to keep this chain of pawns. It is very important to have it, to maintain your space and superiority as white. So c3 is the natural move in this position, also played by Alekhine. Actually, capture would be a possibility, but just think about it. You don't have the pawn. You get the pawn, but you haven't finished your development. You weaken e5. Knight d7 is going to be the continuation, going for those two pawns. You can play queen c3, okay, but then there's going to be a6, b6 coming. Black is going to get very dynamic, and this position is quite equal, in fact. Even if white has the pawn up, black has plenty of compensation. So instead of destroying his pawn structure, Alekhine went for, in this position, c3. Very typical, keeping the chain correctly and everything. And here, a mistake by Nimzowitsch. He had the right idea. He wants to get rid of this bishop in c8, because in the French, this bishop in c8 is a killer in the bad sense, in the sense that with all these pawns on white square, that bishop rarely finds its place. So after b6, even if you want to play bishop a6, white has the opportunity of coming to d6, and you're going to see another move that was also played in the game that was very important, and it shows why b6 bishop a6 plan right now in this particular moment is not the best choice for black. Instead, knight c6 had to be played. Seems to be more natural and more in the style of French. d4 is the place that's going to be attacked, so why not just develop a piece to start putting pressure in d4. And if f4, still d4 is the problem, so now we would play knight f5, bringing another attack there. If knight f3, we can play a6. Now that the knight is controlling d6, you have to go back, and here, for example, with black, if we want, we can take in d4, and now queen b6, or f6, one of these two moves, breaking the center, attacking d4. This seems just like a natural idea for black, and it has been played much more than b6. b6 is not really a great choice for black. So keep it in mind in case you're playing this line yourself as black. It's quite a good line for black. Not b6 though, knight bc6, finishing the development the right way. First knight, then you'll figure out where to put the bishop. And also, you know, once you play this f6, this bishop can come d7, e8, g6. There have been ideas like that played, and it gives black a nice play for that bishop. Okay, so after b6, what happened? Well, white is going f4, very typical. First f4, strengthening e5 a little more, and now this knight is going to be developed in f3. Bishop a6. And now, very important, white does not want to play knight d6, because if he does, you see, I've already inserted this green arrow here to point out where this bishop from f1 would like to be, on that b1 h7 diagonal, specifically d3. When we're going to start an attack, this bishop is going to be very, very strong. So white definitely does not want to trade this light square bishop. He's going to keep this knight in b5 and letting you, if you want to take it, okay, go ahead, take it. I'll take back with the bishop, no worries. My bishop will come back to d3. But I will not put my knight to d6 to allow this trade. Very, very important. Knight f3, finishing the development. Queen d7, attacking b5. And now the question is, are we going to move the knight, or what are we going to do about this attack? And Alekhine found the best choice in this position, a4. This is a great move. We start seeing the blockade. Maybe it was after this game that Nimzowitsch realized the importance of these ideas. Maybe not. Maybe he realized it earlier and he couldn't do anything about it. But this a4 is a really good idea, because now if you take in b5, now I keep the opportunity of even capturing back with the pawn even better. So no knight d6. We don't want this bishop trade. That's quite clear. a4. Black is finishing the development. What to do? And here another very good move of stabilizing the position, b4. I love this move so much, because we are forcing, in a way, black to make a decision about what he's going to do about the c5 pawn. Is he going to make a trade here? Is he going to play c4? I mean, if he plays c4, now we can maybe move the knight if we don't want to allow the capture, and we don't. Maybe we can play knight d6 or knight a3. I like both of them. Maybe knight d6, and then we can think of bishop e2, finishing the development, g4, f5, attacking on the king side because obviously the queen side has been blocked. This position, in this position, white has a slight advantage given by his space advantage. But after b4, Nimzowitsch captured in b4. Pawn takes b4, and here again we see the superiority of whites with more space, and there's nothing to worry about that the king remained in the center because the position is closed. Black does not have any way of coming to attack this king, at least not for the moment. Nimzowitsch realized that this capture would never be possible and never be good, so he went back bishop b7, maybe with the hope of playing some a6 at some point. And here Alekhine played knight d6. I love this move. Now that the bishop moved, there's no worry that these bishops would get traded. Now I can stabilize my knight in d6. Even if you're going to trade it later, it's okay. I'm just opening up the diagonal, making sure a bishop in b7 will remain that way. And here black made a big mistake, f5. This is a mistake because it looks like black got rid of the f5 square. He doesn't have f6 to open up the king side. So from now on, it seems that white would be the only one who could play on the king side if he wants to. He also has some opportunities on the queen side, which we're going to see in a moment. But this f5, it's not the right moment. There's no threat. Why push f5? We haven't even finished development. So the best choice here for black would actually have been a5 to kind of stabilize completely, to figure out what's going to happen here. If white plays b5, then at least you got the b4 square for your knight. Later, when there's going to be a threat in h7, then you can play f5 if you want to, but now you've got a good space for your knight. You know, I mean, a5, I think, would have been a really good choice, or maybe even knight c8 as well, trying to trade that knight from there. But I like a5 a little bit more, because now you know what to do. I mean, even if I play, let's say, bishop b5, then you can simply take. And I'm sorry, this position is quite okay for black. After f5, a really great move was found by Alexander Alekhine, and that move has to do with blockading, getting more space. He doesn't hurry on the king side. He played a5. I love this move. Now we're threatening taking or a6 and b5. Everything is coming. That's why black had to play a5 himself. Now knight c8, but a little bit too late. Knight takes b7. In this case, it's okay to trade that bishop because we have this next move, very important, a6. Getting more space and blockading the queen side. Queen f7, where to go. Now bishop b5. So now a new problem has arisen in black's position. This knight in c6 and the entire c-file, because with these knights without spots, with f5 having been played, black is really spaceless. So now white is finishing the development. h6, what to do? Rook f8, or would have been more natural. h6, black cannot do anything on the king side, unfortunately. Rook fc1 with tempo. Now we double on the c-file. Queen e8. What to do? We have to defend eventually. There's rook c1 coming. If you were to move knight d8, we just still double, and the problem is we are going to activate our piece on c7, and then you lose a7 pawn. So queen e8 had to be played. Rook c1, queen e3, rook c3. This is very nice. Rook c2 here, just doubling. You're totally tied up on the c-file, on this diagonal. Everything is tied up. Black just has to stay here. He has no moves. The queen goes behind the rooks, okay? This is the best way to place the queen on an open file. Now bishop a4, getting ready to threaten b5. Black had to play b5 to give away the pawn. Thank you very much. Now I have a pawn up. The king came to try to protect c7. After bishop a4, again, we're threatening b5. King d8 had to be played. And actually b5 would have won as well, but Alekhine played h4, basically putting black in Zugzwang. You have really no moves, and after b5, what to do? black resigned. I really hope you enjoyed this game, such a beautiful positional game. Stay tuned for more, like usually, tomorrow.